Okay, so today I actually wanted to talk to you about failure. Why? Because there have been times in my life that I have felt like a tremendous failure. And I let the fear of failing again keep me from starting. And so I wanted to just talk about how the fear of failure can stop you from reaching your goals and touch on some things that nobody talks about when they talk about failure. Okay, if you don't know me, my name is Echo, and I create content about how a normal, everyday, average person can put in the work and see results. Okay, let's get to work. Everybody fails, but nobody wants to admit it. And I can see why, because when you fail, it's hard to go out there and say, you know what, I tried something and it didn't work out. I tried something and as much effort as I put into it, I just couldn't do it. It's especially hard to admit that you failed at something because social media makes it look like everyone else is winning. They show the high points. They don't show the nitty-gritty behind the scene, that people are struggling and that people are working really hard and that maybe we have to fail a few times before we find success. When we compare ourselves and see that other people are succeeding where we are failing, those negative thoughts, they start to creep in, and we tell ourselves, why can't we get it together? Why can't I make this work? Why can't I stick to it? And I know that this happens because this is what happens to me every time I try to do something and I fail. I'm like, other people are killing it. They are smashing it. How come I can't go out there and do the exact same thing? And the problem is that these people, they're curating their life. They are showing the best parts, not the worst parts. When I couldn't get back to where I wanted to be, I talked to my husband because I was like, well, maybe I need to take my YouTube channel down. Maybe I need to not think about this. This kind of thing is for people who are smashing it in life, who are doing wonderful things. And so while I was talking to my husband, who is so wise and so smart, you know what he told me? He was like, no, I think it's important for you to get on there and tell people that you are struggling, because that's what people don't share. They don't share that they are having trouble. They don't share that they started their diet 10 times before they actually got it where they wanted to be. They don't share the messy parts. And he was like, would it have helped you to know that you could look at somebody who is trying to do what you want to do and see that they are struggling and that they had to work through it? And I was like, you know what? It actually would. It would help me. It would make me feel like I wasn't alone. It would make me feel like less of a failure for wanting to try and not having it go how I want. And so I was like, I'm just going to put it out there. The thing about comparison is nobody is going to advertise that they are failing. Nobody says, hey, it took me this many tries. Or by the time they admit that, they've already worked through it. And so you're like, well, why can't I work through it? It doesn't seem like it was that hard. Just because people don't put their failures out there does not mean that they are not working really hard behind the scenes. I personally think that when I look at these videos, it seems like they never struggle. It seems like these things that they are talking about were easy for them to put into their life, were easy for them to put into practice. And so I'm like, well, they have a different skill set than me. And you know what? Skills are things that you can learn. And so I think that the first thing that you need to wrap your head around, that I need to wrap my head around, is that everybody fails. Just because they don't put it out there that they have failed at something, or that they have failed at something that they're now good at, that failures are not happening. And so on a subconscious level, we know that to be true. We know that people fail. We know that everyone fails. But when we are working through those emotions, it's hard to come to grips with the idea that Sometimes you have to fail to move forward. We think that failure is the problem, but you know what? Failure in and of itself is actually a good thing. Failure is a teacher. It will tell you more about yourself and more about your goals than anything else, because failure comes from actually trying it. And that is when we learn the most, through trying something, seeing what didn't work, and then trying again. But that fear that we attach to the idea of failing, now that is the real villain, because that fear is something we feel in our chest that will stop us from doing the exact things that we want to do. That fear, I think Susie Kassim says it the best. She's an author, and she said that fear will kill more dreams than failure ever will. And how many times have I put off starting something because I'm afraid that it will end in failure? How many things have I just put on the back burner and kept being like, well, one day I will do that, even though I know that one day will never come. When I think about it, the fear of failure is knowing that I have to change, but I don't want to. It is knowing that I will have to step outside my comfort zone. And I like my comfort zone, even if it's not helping me move forward. The fear of failure is telling myself that I am not good enough, and that if I actually put in the effort and I fail, that it's confirming that idea, that it's telling me I am not good enough. And so when people talk about starting and failing, they don't want to put out there that they have failed. But one thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to normalize failure, because it's something that everybody experiences. So when I started the carnivore diet, I thought that everything would be smooth sailing, especially since I was like, well, I'm going to record on YouTube, and it's going to make me feel wonderful. It's going to be so motivating. And I forgot to factor in, you know what? I'm a normal person. I make mistakes. I have struggles. I'm going to work through my failures, even if I find it embarrassing to talk about them. And I'm going to put them out there. Maybe it is what somebody needed to hear. It's what I needed to hear, and I couldn't find it. I want to say that failure is a normal part of the process. It's just the part that people don't like sharing. Failure is not glam. Failure is not the success story that people are looking for. But you know what? I find it to be relatable, because everybody has failed. Putting something out there and saying that things are perfect isn't going to help me, and it isn't going to help somebody else who may be struggling, who may be telling themselves, I have tried to start this like 10 times, and for some reason I just can't stick to it. But that 11th time might be different. It's not easy for me to say that I have trouble sticking with my diet. But I do want to say that for every YouTube, every Instagram, every success story out there where somebody is smashing it, where they are doing things that I want to do, where they are living the life that I want, there is an uncountable number of people who are watching it and asking themselves the same question: why can't I do that? Why can't I get it together? And you know what? That is okay, because the only way to succeed is to figure out how to work through failure. Failure is normal. Struggling to make something work is normal. If you want to see somebody go through the entire process of learning how to work through their struggles, how to work through their failures, then you can follow my journey, because I don't want to just show you the high points. I want to show you everything that I had to do to work through it, even if it's not glamorous. And you know what? Maybe nobody wants to see that, and that's okay. But it's what I need to do. Maybe somebody will watch it and realize that they're not alone. Other people are struggling just as much to try to reach their goals, and that things don't always fall in line. That when you start something, everything is not going to go perfect. Just because you decide that you want to change doesn't mean that change will be easy. Just because you want to get outside of your comfort zone doesn't mean that you won't go running back to it when things get hard. but learning how to handle all those situations is important. Failure is part of overcoming your struggles. It is part of getting your life together. And when I started this channel, that is what I desperately wanted. I wanted to get my life together. I wanted things to change. But if I stop now, when I face my first set of failures, what is that going to accomplish? What does it accomplish when you stop just because you failed? What is it going to accomplish when you let that fear even keep you from starting? If you are struggling, stop comparing yourself to the people who make it look like failure and struggle is not part of the process. Just because you failed does not mean you are a failure. I think that's the biggest thing I can say. The thing that nobody tells you about failure is it is sucky, and that you have to push through it, because that's the only way you're going to get where you want to be. If you want to see me and all my struggles and see me push through it to get what I want, to make the life that I want, please, please subscribe. Please follow. Please give me encouragement. Please let me know that you are just like me, and that maybe you have worked really hard too, and that you have failed, but that when you looked at it, you thought everybody else was winning. You know what? Failure is normal. I cannot say that enough. Failure is normal. Once again, my name is Echo. Thank you for watching this video, and I will talk to you next time. Okay, bye.